There is a fifth dimension, beyond that which is known to man. A dimension of sound.
For the 158th time, you are not getting out of here. Please let me finish the Count of Monte Cristo.
A dimension of sight.
No change at all.
What? I think I look fine.
A dimension of mind. Next stop, the Twilight Zone.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Fifth Dimension, a Twilight Zone podcast. I am your host, as well as I am, of course, your host, Nick. I am not having a good moment for some reason. Welcome back. We are recording after Thanksgiving, so I hope your Thanksgiving was good. There was no new episodes. We missed a week, but that's perfectly all right. We needed a break from it. We've been doing this 13 14 weeks now, but as always, I'm joined by my Venus and Jupiter of this podcast. You can figure out which one is which, but I am, of course, joined by Triv and Jacob. How you guys doing?
I always thought I was more Uranus, but that's okay.
I'll be Jupiter, because in that show Spartacus, they always ran around going Jupiter's cock. So I'm cool with that.
I would love
Jupiter
to be
was the man.
I'd love to be Venus. I'm just not sure I have the looks to be as good as Venus.
I mean, I'll go with Venus, I guess.
You are a sexy bitch. There's no doubt.
A sexy bitch.
And of course, I'm Pluto because I'm the one that's not recognized anymore.
Oh,
you know?
Do you want to be Uranus with me? Because
I mean, it's the planet of the fun times, But anyways, how was your guys' Thanksgiving? How has the last couple of weeks been? Because I know, like I said, we haven't recorded for a week or two, and it's been weird, but it's been it was a nice little break there for a couple of weeks. So how you guys doing?
I just got over being sick, so yay.
Yes, the whole podcast is sick apparently.
Yeah, I'm getting over being sick. I got sick on Thanksgiving. Good times.
Oh,
good times.
Yeah, I had
Thanksgiving was fine.
shot.
I had some duck.
That's right. You did the deep fry thing.
Yeah, I deep fried duck and turkey. I'm not a turkey fan, so I ate the duck.
Nice.
And would that mean that you how do you say it, Triv? Fuck a duck?
Oh, fuck a duck? No, he ate a duck. He didn't fuck a duck.
I ate that duck. I didn't
ate the whole thing. You fucking ate
it. Ready for somebody else to fuck that duck, but I ate it.
Oh my god. But yeah, so we made it very aware and very clear that the last episode, which was the four of us are dying, was not good. There was in order to keep it under like 3 hours long, I had to unfortunately trim it down just a little bit, but you get the gist of how that episode really pissed us off a little bit, I guess you could say. So, but it's nice we're finally coming back to I would consider one of my I don't know if it's favorite, but one of those guilty pleasure type episodes, which has a great ending, has a great story to it because it has some really interesting messages. But the episode we're talking about is season 1, episode 14, Third from the Sun, which is it's not the John Lithgow, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, whoever else is was it French Stewart TV show, which actually might be interesting to review sometime. Talk about that.
Oh, totally.
But, yeah,
never watched it.
Never. Oh, man,
I mean, I'm aware of it.
Stuff.
I know what it's about. Like, if I see like pictures of it, I'm like, or shots of it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what that is. I know what it's about and all, but I never watched it.
The Jane Curtin, John Lithgow stuff is always funny. So, but the episode is directed by Richard L. Baer. It's written by Rod Serling, based off a story by Richard Matheson. Production code 173-3615, which means this was the 15th episode. Filmed and premiered on January 8th, 1960. So with that said, this is one of those episodes I've watched more times than I can remember. I know, Jacob, you always talk about how it's been a while since you watched a lot of these episodes, but I get asked, did you know what was going to happen? I mean, we don't have to spoil it till we get to the ending, but did you kind of understand the gist of the story before you actually watched it?
Yeah, this actually was the first one since joining this that I've watched that I remember this episode. Like going into it, like as soon as it started, I was like, yep, I remember this. I know what the twist is. Yeah, but even knowing the twist, I still had a good time with it.
What about you, Triv?
I actually don't remember this one. Like, it's probably one I should, but
Mhm.
you could kind of guess from the open what was going to be the twist, but like it still caught me a little bit off guard as far as what it was, what the actual twist was going to be. So weirdly, I don't remember this one very well. So I'm not sure what that says, but
I think I remember
yeah.
it because it's very similar to, from what I remember, my favorite episode ever. It's not my favorite. I like this episode, but its twist is very similar to my most favorite episode ever.
oh, is that Probe 7 over and out?
The Invaders, I think it's called.
Oh, yep. They talked about how that was kind of similar to this. So
Yeah, the twist, not the episode itself, but the actual twist in the end is, I mean, the idea behind it's pretty much the same.
it's that whole like not that this is talking like an alternate Earth on the other side of the sun, but it's kind of that realm of, you leave a place that looks like, I guess I shouldn't get you leave where you are and then you go some other place that's sort of like that.
Yeah,
And
it's
gasp.
It's hard to talk about this one without talking about the twist.
It's ice planet.
Yeah.
You know what it is? It's ice pirates.
Yeah, that's Yep.
Sure.
We'll go with that.
I'm trying to find the episode. It actually reminds me a little bit of the episode where the planet is overheating and the woman.
it kind of is.
I can't remember what that episode's called. I'm trying to look for it and I'm not finding it at the moment. The Midnight Sun, that's what it is.
I was hoping
So
it
it
was
has
going to
that
be
kind of-
called Earth too hot, too fast.
It's too fast, too hot, too cold.
It's like a sequel to
season 3.
Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, this is definitely gonna be a much better conversation than the last episode. I can definitely say that right now. But this episode stars Fritz Weaver as Will Sturka, Edward Andrews as Carleen, Joe Maross as Jerry Ridden, Denise Alexander as Jodie Sturka, and Lori March as Eve Sturka, and Jeanne Evans as Anne Ridden. This episode is very much it feels in the vein of something like Day After, was it Day Earth Still, with this kind of, sci-fi elements and kind of what is that, Cold War? Is it like a Cold War or nuclear scarcity? No. Okay, Cold War situations like they had when like you go under the, they would have kids go underneath the desk and stuff like that.
Oh, there's tons of Cold War commentary in this thing. That's pretty much the entire thing is about Cold War and how we continue down the same path, knowing where it leads.
Yep.
Right.
There's actually a lot of the Twilight Zone episodes are kind of like that.
I mean,
like
look
the
at
one with the
that
bunker and oh yeah, absolutely. It's like B movies, and they kind of focused a lot on nuclear war and like what would happen. Giant creatures. For as goofy as they were, they still talked about the fears of the era.
Like, I mean, how, like you just said, like if you look at Matinee, which was directed by Joe Dante, is a story about John Goodman is like a Alfred Hitchcock almost, and he's doing like those B grade like insect movies and the same thing. So
that's such a good movie.
Them and
you don't hear about it enough. That is such a good movie.
It is set in Miami, Florida too, which is pretty funny.
Nice.
That ending part with the screen where it that is amazing. Everybody's like,
not one I have seen, but it's on my list.
Oh man, yeah, exactly. But this episode, in its essence, starts out they're basically being checked, going through. It looks like a power plant or electrical plant. They're being named off of, I guess, what they're doing on this, whatever they're doing as a job. And William Sturka is pulled over by Carleen, who is very much a weird, creepy dude, and he has. There's that we'll talk about later, but there's that GIF with I think it's from Tim and Eric, who has the guy peering over the hedges.
Like the guy from Home Alone, Wilson.
No, Home Improvement.
No, it's like the dude that goes.
Not
he's
Home
like,
Alone. Duh.
Anyways, I have to send you the GIF, but it's a pretty funny thing. But that's what Carleen does in this. But he starts going on about the devastation of the world and nuclear weapons and all that stuff. And I'm like, oh man, this guy is going to he's a weirdo, definitely.
Yeah, well, I was wondering, I made a note of that. Why is this guy's like the Gestapo? Why the hell is he outside Weaver's window? They live in this technically advanced like civilization, and he's just like Like it's just like peeping Tom.
Don't
outside
you
this guy's
think
window.
that's sort of, if you're talking like kind of Cold War type stuff, like I
Well,
think that
yeah.
probably relates back to like you're being watched by, you know, nefarious purpose, you know, that they're looking for
Big
you
Brother's
know,
always watching.
commies and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you're not that far off of the McCarthy hearings.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I'm sure that probably played into some of that at least.
But they literally had a guy who's like,
Yeah. Well,
Well, that-
you know, sometimes Twilight Zone is not terribly subtle.
yeah, no, this was not.
No, yeah, definitely. But after that happens, it actually leads into the opening narration, which Jacob, I'll let you take over on that one.
Yeah, by the way, I wanted to make I don't know if, because like I said, I haven't been here for every one of them, but the opening narration wasn't really the opening narration. It started a few minutes in. Is that a first, or have they done that
No.
before? Okay, I just
Yeah, it's I think what Rod Serling does, I think he waits for the best moment to say his opening narration. So I guess if the story allows it, he'll do it at the beginning. If he needs like a couple minutes to get the story rolling, he'll do it that way. That's my honest opinion, but I'm not entirely sure. So
One
Okay.
real quick fun thing before we get into the narration. The character of Carling was absent from the original short story, but they wanted to add a villain to the episode.
They definitely did.
Yeah.
The peeper.
yeah,
Before that, it was
actually-
just the two families leaving to go to the launch pad and then boarding the ship and leaving. So
it's so weird.
All right, well, quitting time at the plant. Time for supper now. Time for families. Time for a cool drink on a porch. Time for the quiet rustle of leaf-laden trees that screen out the moon. And underneath it all, behind the eyes of the man, hanging invisible over the summer night, is a horror without words. For this is the stillness before the storm. This is the eve of the end.
So way shorter, way shorter.
Yeah.
What's it yeah, way. So you're not passing out from exhaustion of talking, but it's pretty straightforward. You know, it talks about like the fears and the idea of like what this what it's like to live in a decade like the 50s and 60s and how scary that is. And even though this is going on a specific tangent about, you know, this character himself and their things, I mean, to be fairly honest, this is episode's it's pretty short when it comes to actually description, because a lot of it, especially in the beginning, especially before Carling like pops up like a weirdo out of the windowsill, it's basically Will Sturka's character talking to his daughter about everything that's going on, about his fears, about the bombs. He's being like cryptic about it because I think he's worried that people are listening, which, you know, he gets a telephone call later. But he is like literally the surrogate, or us, and would say we live in 1960, January 8th, 1960. I mean, this is a few years before, you know, the Cuban Missile Crisis stuff and whatnot. But I mean, the idea of the Cold War and the idea of nuclear fission and stuff like that, and the idea of, you know, other countries having nuclear bombs, that's what this, I don't know how much more you guys want to elaborate on it, but that's exactly what he's doing at his house. He's literally telling everything that we fear in general in the country, where we're feeling. You know, his daughter can't understand what's going on because kids at the time, if you think about it, didn't really understand the true scope of what was really happening. They were just told they're going to be protected for some weird ass reason if they go underneath a desk. And I don't know, what do you guys have anything else to elaborate on that? Like, what else you want to talk about? Because he talks about there's a secret spacecraft and stuff like that. So
I just wanted to add that, you know, if you're going to be cryptic about things, like, you have to use Dutch angles.
Yes, many Dutch angles.
Yes.
Yes, the Dutch angle is back from last week, but damn, it ain't playing this week.
Yeah.
But it ties into the twist. I have a thought as to why they use the Dutch angles, but we'll get to that later on. I feel like that's why they used so many Dutch angles in this, is to make it seem
Foreign.
foreign.
Well, you know, I was kind of thinking all alien planets should be shot with Dutch angles.
Right.
The other thing
The
too, they used a lot of like shadows. Like there was a lot more shadow, like it was a lot more shadow driven. And I do wonder from a production standpoint if that's to kind of like make all the settings in the house or all the production design, like make it more like alien looking.
Otherworldly.
Like it's a little, yeah, you don't know it from the start, but it's just enough to say, okay, this isn't quite normal.
Yeah, it's like
'Cause
it's not in
even-
your face. It's subconscious. Like you never
Yeah.
quite feel like this is home. This is kind of otherworldly, if you will.
Exactly. Even some of the like patterns, because there are some like it feels like they went out and chose fabrics and stuff in the background that really kind of gave it that, again, like you say, outer worldly without being outer worldly.
Well, I mean, that's the whole purpose to me of a Dutch angle, is just to make you feel uncomfortable and give you unease in the world that you're in. Because I mean, if you think about horror films, especially, you know, some of the ones that use Dutch angles, there's a particular purpose. I mean, we go back to Perchance to Dream. Think about how many times that Dutch angle was used, and it's a really kind of uncomfortable experience because you're like, your equilibrium almost kind of goes off a little bit because you're kind of like doing this a little bit. You're kind of like moving to the side, and it really has an interesting purpose that, you know, even though it's really used in this one episode and it's used in a lot of Twilight Zone episodes, I found it really kind of interesting and unique. And it's also
It throws
interesting
you
that
off balance.
Yeah.
It makes you feel wobbly and just not right. Like something's wrong. I don't know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Well, even the phone they used, it was Swedish design, so it was probably designed by like IKEA or something. But the phone that they used was specifically brought in because it wasn't well known in the States. It didn't even have a 9 on the actual dial because there was something about that phone that didn't have it. So
There's
Hey, Hank.
9s outside the United States.
well, not on this one.
That I didn't know what they were talking about though. I saw that like something was missing a 9. I was like, okay, what? Yeah, I didn't catch that on that phone. My eyes aren't that good, I guess.
Well, I didn't either. It wasn't a prop air. Some models of this Cobra phone had a cord entry where the 9 would have been, so that plugged in where the 9 was. So it's like
Okay.
lacking a cup holder in a car. It's just one of those design things.
Hope
You
I
know,
hope they didn't
for-
have to dial 911.
Yeah.
Fuck. It's just-
It's 112.
Exactly.
yeah.
Call IXI.
I have to admit that Fritz Weaver, for not having any experience in front of the camera, they do a nice job with him, getting
he
him
did
to
great.
be comfortable.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, but you could tell. I thought that too, but you could tell like his acting style was very theater-esque. It wasn't bad, but it was very much like, I felt like it was very much from the theater. It kind of fit with the time period because that's how everybody was back then. But
Yeah.
he was a bit more like walk like to the other side of the room and be like, oh. He does
How'd that go again?
more. He was, yeah, you know, he did the dramatic swings and all that, and especially in the scene when he's in the house talking to his family and stuff. He was a little bit more dramatic and over the top, and it wasn't like bad. It wasn't like crazy over the top. And I think I read that the director had to like really like physically direct him around the scene to tell him, you know, this is how we do it with cameras instead of an audience. I thought he did good though.
He actually, my favorite 2 lines from him is when he's going on his tirade about how fearful people are. And he says, everyone is afraid because they make themselves afraid. They make it crooked and devious. And it's really interesting because his dialogue, there's more to it, but his dialogue could actually be used today in our fears of just everything going on in this, you know, country or world, and, you know, how you view it and stuff like that. So I think it's interesting that even though this takes place in 1960, it was probably filmed in 59 or whatever, there's still a lot of interesting uses of concepts and theories and ideas that are still relevant to us, even in this story, because the concept's still the same. I mean, we still worry about somebody letting off the bomb, and, you know, we're never going to be under a table because we're all going to be dead. But it's just, I like how this story still affects us today in some form or fashion. Though I wish I could have that ship.
Well, it goes to show you that grand scheme, people don't change. Like situations change, but you know, those fears, they don't go away. I mean, you know, they morph, but they don't change.
Right. And we're introduced to Jerry, who's played by Joey Maross in this segment, where after Will tells his wife it's coming in 48 hours, they have a ship, blah, blah, blah. Jerry is the second plotter to take the ship that's landed, you know, because they're gonna steal it. And they go into a room and they have a pocket watch and they turn off the music so that nobody can hear them, which is a big thing about, you know, bugs and stuff like that. And it's just another thing where they have a schematic and it's a, you know, we're going to go to this planet, all that good stuff. But after everything's said and done, like I said, the Carlene peers over the window with his weird fetish smile and stuff like that, like he's been jerking it back there or something.
It's the hat. You can never trust people who wear white hats.
Exactly, and the glasses, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Glasses are what did it for me.
Yeah.
But that ends the first act, and I have to ask you guys, as I always do, how did you guys feel this episode? I mean, withstanding the last episode, we won't talk about it anymore. But what did you guys think about this episode as a whole from the middle act?
I thought it was sharp. I mean, it did a good job of kind of bringing tension to it. You knew that something was off, but you didn't necessarily know what. Obviously, either Strucka was paranoid, or obviously there was something to it because Carling was there. But was it justified, or was it not justified? They left it at a good cliffhanger in my book. So
I liked this episode. I mean, it was, even though I knew what was going on with it before we went into it, I thought it had that right balance. It had a cool twist, even though I already knew it, that I really enjoyed. A clever twist, but it also had like some commentary going on, and that's some of the greatest Twilight Zone episodes, is when they're talking about more than just what's really on screen. It was a little bit in your face at times, like the Carling coming at the window and all that, and and really literally talking about the nuclear bombs going off and all that. But that was the fear of the time, and that was a genuine fear, and this really plays into it. And I really like how it really played into the Cold War thing. If you think about the Cold War, I mean, there's probably stuff like this now. It's so stupid because it's like we're all doing this thing that we know is leading us down a road that there's only one inevitable end if we don't stop, and they continue doing it, and everybody's just like, we're just doing this because they're doing, we gotta. And it's like, it's such a stupid road to go down, but we just continue to go down it. So I like that commentary there.
I will also add, I like the little morsels that they throw out, that you're not where you think you are. Like they mentioned things like fever bombs and things like that, like things that wouldn't have been known at that time on Earth, at least as far as we know. So there were little bits like that. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it's an episode that you can relate to, to be fairly honest. I mean, we're living in an age where we're almost closely in a Cold War scenario right now, where we're dealing with like technology Cold War and stuff like that. I mean, it depends on your official opinions and stuff like that, but I mean, it's just a relatable segment because we all fear something that could happen. Whether it does or not is a different story. But you watch this guy, he's overreacting. We overreact. We do stupid things, or not stupid things, but we always fear something. And it's like I said, it's just one of those episodes where it has a clear purpose. It really is trying to set itself to be something specific. And I mean, you look at like last week's episode, and you look at this week's episode, and the believability, even though it's a sci-fi episode, is very realistic and what it's trying to do. And I found that really fascinating. Like I said, I've always liked this episode. It's one of those episodes that will show up on New Year's Day or whatever as an episode that people watch. But I don't know, I just found it really fascinating. Like I said, when we get into the second part, I mean, they're playing cards, they're doing their plot thing. Carlene shows up, very suspicious of what they're doing because he kind of knows what's going on, and they have to be careful and all that good stuff. But it's very much a relatable experience. I mean, with our cell phones and stuff like that, I mean, there's always fears that people were, listening through the microphones and shit. So, I mean, I know I'm going off on like a deep end, a little bit of a tangent, but, I mean, what do you guys think overall on that?
I mean, look at like 5G and some of that stuff. People get so, like, the conspiracy theories are easier to believe than what is reality in a lot of cases. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot with that kind of stuff. So
it really is. It really is an interesting thing to think about when you kind of break it down. But like I said, they're playing cards. There is a trivia thing in here, which I thought was kind of funny because I was talking about the Midnight Sun, and there's actually the painting from the Midnight Sun is actually in the background when they're playing cards, which I thought was kind of funny.
Cool. One other kind of fun thing when they're playing cards, they kind of like whip the camera around from person to person, and all I could think was it reminded me of that 70s show, but without the pot.
But it's yeah, so they're playing cards, they're doing the whip cam type thing, which I thought was kind of like you said, was pretty funny. And Carlene, like I said, Carlene shows up and he's doing his old suspicious McCarthyism type moment where he's like doing like I'm gonna say something different, but I know what you're doing. And Jerry's writing on the piece of paper that has the map on it, and he picks it up, and I'm like he either knows there's a map on the back of it, or he's just like looking at numbers, and he's like, "Oh, I see you're not making enough money." Blah blah blah.
That was actually a really good suspenseful moment. Like the fact that they didn't go the easy route and have him turn around and go, "Aha!"
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty. Like that was genuinely good.
Like when he reached for the paper, he's like, "Can I have a cigarette?" And they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh no, right in there." Stuff here, buddy.
I was convinced that the lemonade was going to spill and show the backside of the paper.
Because he's really wanting that lemonade, man. He's
it's good lemonade. You don't screw around with good lemonade.
Yeah. Speaking of that moment or that scene, there's a thing that's said, and I saw the trivia that's kind of throwaway about it, but it really resonated with me. They mention, because they're talking about going away somewhere else. They mention that they're going to this place that's 11 million miles away, right? Their destination. But I saw a thing that said actually the closest solar system to Earth is approximately 24,900,000,000,000 miles away. And who that's a throwaway line, right? Who cares? Well, the only reason it resonated with me was because, not to toot my own horn, but I did a review of a movie called 3022 3 years ago. It was like 2 years ago. And in the beginning, they're like around Jupiter or something. I don't know. They're however far they are. And I said, just throwaway line in the beginning describing it. Yeah, they're on the other side of the universe or the galaxy or something like that. I don't know. I was just describing what the movie was. I got, till this day, I will periodically get a comment, someone saying, Jupiter is not that far. It is only or they're in the orbit of this. It's not, it's only this many miles from that. And I was like, Jesus, it was a throwaway line. So yeah, I feel as if Rod Serling and the Twilight Zone should get the same reaming with this.
Reaming a dead guy will definitely get you far. They may kill you in the comments, but Rod Serling is actually RIP.
Yeah. But yeah,
but
it's a lot further than 11 million miles.
Well, and that's the thing. People get so not that you shouldn't, like, but it's so interesting how people like those numbers stick with people, and it's like, boom, bitches, 24 quadrillion billion miles from anything. So you better get gas now.
Last stop, 24 trillion miles away.
Yeah, pick up a burrito. You're gonna need it.
I mean, hell, the military has discovered a small planet 11 million miles away. I mean, that is literally like 3 planets over. So I mean, who knows? But
exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know, but to kind of continue, I mean, they have the card game. They have Carlene show up. He leaves. They're like, this is when Will and Jerry are like, okay, family, we need to get the hell out of here. Leave the kids or leave the dogs and whatever behind. We're going to the spaceship.
Lemonade.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is an interesting point that she like picks up the tray and is like, what the hell am I doing? This isn't gonna do anything.
I liked that because when she picked it up, I was like, what is she doing? And then it commented on that. And she was like, this is ridiculous, isn't it? And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
She heard you.
Oh, yeah. And that's when we get the Ericsson phone. Is it the Ericsson phone? Is that what it's called?
Cobra phone?
It is the Erica phone.
Okay.
Yeah,
Erica phone. Erica phone.
Cobra. It's an Erica phone. It's an Erica Cobra. So it's like, yeah, make and model.
It looks like a snake.
Yeah,
I guess that does too, maybe too. Or it looks like there's some salt on it.
Yeah. I want one of those. Like my next cell phone is going to be that. Take up my entire purse or something. Excuse me, I have to take a call on my Cobra phone.
Yeah, so he gets a call and he's like, oh, they're gonna come pick me up, and like, let's get the hell out of here. And they travel by I don't know if the car is on a treadmill. I don't know what's going on with this car, but
That's the new. That's I made note of that. They're driving a Tesla Model T because
It sounds like it. Like it has that
it's got a
turbine engine going.
thing
Yeah,
going. I was
exactly.
like, what is that? Like a Tesla? It's a Model T Tesla. I'm telling you.
There you go.
Well,
Half
I mean,
the
this
battery
does
power, more like twice the car, half the battery power.
this does take place in like 2015. So I mean, technically, I guess they would have Tesla Model 3s at this point.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
This is
There
how
you
they
go.
got it, you know.
It's a wind-up model.
Exactly. But they travel by I don't know, flotation device or whatever the vehicle is doing. And they find themselves at gate 6A, which is where the spaceship, which looks like every 50s spaceship you can imagine.
Actually,
amazing.
the spaceship came from Forbidden Planet. So
Yeah, I saw
did
that.
it? Oh,
Yep.
okay, interesting.
yeah.
It reminded me of the ship from, of course, Day the Earth Is Still, which is one of my favorite Cold War movies. But of course, their contact, the one who is blinking the light doing the SOS, is basically it's Carlene with a gun, and he's like, get back in the car. I'm gonna take you and arrest you and blah blah blah. And they're like, we need to get out of here. Exactly.
Well, they
What
leave
was
the
that
ladies
about?
behind, which is like is good, but it's like, okay, well then the ladies are just going to take the spaceship and take off, even if they don't necessarily know how to fly. That or they're going to go save their men, using amazing kung fu action.
Exactly.
Female.
It
women
was
power.
the 60s.
Yeah.
But they of course take over, or they subdue. I think they actually kill Carlene, to be fairly honest. I think he's dead. And then they decide, instead of running to the ship, they're just going to drive to the ship and then get in it and fly off. And
5 feet.
right.
Knock over some barrel.
Yeah, exactly.
Which always reminds me of that movie. Is it House? Every time they pull up in the car, they knock something over in the front. House 2, I think.
Yeah. I think because they do that in
yeah.
Home Alone too. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
knock over the one little statue out front. Yeah.
Actually, I was watching Home Alone last night, believe it or not. But
Were you watching the
they
new Home Alone?
Yeah, exactly.
No, God, no. I no, God, no.
I refuse.
Yeah, same.
But they do their best karate chops on the guards, which fall over dramatically, which is pretty
Vulcan
funny.
next pinch or Vulcan
Right,
next
right.
pinches.
The one guy
Exactly.
does like his black position like kick to the guy up the ramp.
Karate chop.
It's like in Black Dynamite.
Yeah. Oh, Black Dynamite. I love Black Dynamite.
You guys should watch the animated series if you haven't, by the way.
Oh yeah, I've
Nice.
seen that, but I need a live action sequel. But anyway, I'll derail this thing with some Black Dynamite.
You and I both will, man. You and I both will. But they fly away in a ship that has the innards of a Doctor Who set, which I thought was funny. A big like rotating, like I don't know what it is, sphere with a bunch of like dials and stuff like that. It's like a very 50s, 60s inside of a spaceship.
It looks a
Um,
lot like that. It looks like a lot like this island Earth. There's a big. They have a big, gigantic, glowing raspberry in the middle of it. So, with the sound effects of the original Star Trek series.
Oh.
Yes. And by the way, it's
Pac-Man's in the background too. By the way.
There you go.
It really is. They said that's what they used. The people who made Pac-Man used that shape or whatever that's in the background,
nice.
Nice.
and that's what they designed Pac-Man after.
nice.
Hey, you learn something new every day. Now, I have to go off on a side tangent real quick. So,
Please do.
Jacob, you and I saw Sing 2. I'm just going to bring up Sing 2. Just go with me
Oh
on this.
God.
How are we
For a
getting to
second.
sing?
So,
Sing to?
I'm kind of wondering
so-
what is the
well-
tangent here?
well, no. Listen to me for a second. So, how crazy and big the ship insides are for the ship. You remember the scene in Sing 2 with the ship and the inside of the ship, and you're like, how the hell did they build that big ass ship? And it's like bigger than the ship that they're actually flying around. It was a really weird thing to me, and that's the same thing here. I was like, that reminds me of that ship from fucking Sing.
It's a TARDIS once again.
I thought
bigger
you
on the
liked
inside.
Sing too. Like
I did, but it's just the sets were so gigantic and enormous in that movie. It's like I don't know how they built that shit in 3 weeks. So
He's just slowly confirming my view on the movie.
it's the power. It's the power of friendship that built those
Uh,
things in 3 weeks.
Yeah. To everybody
and
listening,
Bono
by
singing.
the way, we both liked the movie, but he liked it more than I did. So we have this ongoing argument about Not if it was good or bad, but how good it was.
Oh God.
I'd
I
say
went
it
and
was
saw
good.
Encanto, and I thought it was probably a lot better than what Sing 2 probably is.
I haven't seen it. I can't say.
Man.
Well, there you go.
Good times. Good times. So, anyways, back to the episode. So, this episode ends with a great twist. They're on the ship. They point out to a star that's really bright. They're like, "We're gonna head to that planet. It's 11 million miles away," which they do in the IMDb mention the goof that this particular planet is described as being a different solar system, 11 million miles away. The closest, as you said, the closest solar system to Earth is approximately 24 billion. Was it 24 trillion 900 billion miles away, or whatever, as you said?
Yep.
And basically, they mentioned that they're heading to the third planet from the sun, and it's called Earth. So, in essence, they're aliens to us, and they live on a different planet from us, and they're going to our planet to overpopulate our planet. And basically the twist is they're not even on Earth, which I thought was pretty fantastic. So whether they actually overpopulate, I don't know. I was joking, but it actually brings up a really interesting, cool point of the biggest question remaining in the solar system outside of how big it is whether there's actually life among people or among the other planets. And I love that quote in Contact where they go, "If there's nothing out there, it's an awful waste of space." But I got to ask you guys, even though Jacob, you knew the ending, I don't know, Triv, if you knew the ending at that point, what was your guys' overall take on the ending? Like, knowing it or not knowing it, how would you rank it in kind of the overall awesomeness or not awesomeness of the Twilight Zone?
So far, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Please go ahead.
So far with the ones I've seen, it was one of my favorite endings, even though I knew it. But like I said, a lot of that goes back to it is very much in line with my favorite episode out of the series. But I like these kind of endings, and just the entire episode. I think I mentioned a moment ago how it had multiple layers to it. Mm-hmm. And there's just a lot to talk about with this episode. Like the ending was just really, if you didn't know it, like going in, I could see it being like a Planet of the Apes moment in the end, just like, yes. Right. Yeah. Like right there at the end. And I think I love those kind of like big twists that you get, not gradually, but like bam, in like an instant, and like it changes everything. I love those kind of twists in movies and stories and all that. And as far as like what the implications of it are moving forward, like do they make it or not? I gotta wonder. I mean, given the time period and everything, did they land and like they made it to Earth, and maybe they were the aliens from Area 51?
It's possible. I mean, there is, and you know, you can kind of throw whatever you want on IMDb, but they said that this was kind of ancient alien theory.
Mm-hmm. I got you. Yeah. I can see that. Definitely. Also, something else that we didn't, I meant to mention a few minutes ago, just take it back just for a second. There's in the scene, the card scene, I think it was the card scene when they're sitting there talking, or maybe it was after, I can't remember. Anyway, there's a part where the two main characters are talking, and I think they're talking about, are we going to make it? Can we make it? Et cetera, will we be able to fly it? And he specifically mentioned, and they make a point, he says, you know, he mentions God, and you know, God willing, we'll be able to. And knowing what we know now, that, you know, they're not on Earth, they're not Earthlings, they're from another, you know, planet. I thought that was odd, but at the same time, I thought it was a bit of commentary, because I thought it was, because if you look at Rod Serling, I don't know specifically, but if you look at his religious beliefs, he was religious. I think maybe some people say, oh, I'm spiritual, you know, he was religious, but he didn't necessarily believe everything that all of the religious faiths say. So he was, you know, he had a lot of questions, which makes sense given him. And I think that kind of ties into the whole thing of, you know, all civilizations have deities and gods and things like that. And you know, what does that say about the validity of the gods if everybody has these similar, all that thing? I thought it was a really neat inclusion, especially for the time, for him to throw that in there, because they did make a point, because they're like saying it, and the camera focuses on him. He said, God willing, well, with the help of God, we'll do it. And then like when you find out they're not even on Earth, it's like, what is God to them?
You could say one way or the other with that, considering the era, you know, because you had there was a bishop that would come on the air. Like my mom would talk about how there was a bishop that like came on the air like prime time and had a show. So you could play it as he was questioning beliefs as far as like how, or you could take it as, regardless of civilization, the Christian God is across everything.
Omnipresent. He's everywhere.
Exactly. So it depends on, I am more inclined to agree with you, but given the time, I could also see it being more of a, God as we know it, in Christian culture type of thing.
It could have been like a double-edged or dual-edged, meaning where he put that out there for those types to say, oh yeah, look at them, good on you, Twilight Zone. But like given his viewpoints, given his viewpoint, he was saying, he was like kind of like making some commentary as he did all the time, like on the sly. It's like saying, is it? Because he didn't, from what I've read, and I haven't done extensive research on the guy, but he was kind of like, yeah, I believe in something, but I'm not 100% sure what it is. And I don't necessarily believe everything that these people say.
Right.
So I think he believed in something, but he had a lot of questions. And I feel like that's the type of thing he would throw in there to say like, hey, let me throw some doubt and question at you, not to say that it doesn't exist, but just to say, is it exactly what you think?
Well, and like you said, this is kind of a, everything about the Twilight Zone, it can be very much straightforward and, lacking some what's the word? Lacking that nuance. But then there are places where it is incredibly nuanced. And if you don't, it works for a lot of different people on a lot of different levels because it has that.
Yeah.
Well, there's also theories, and I know this is a safe place in the 1960s, so the theories, it says it in the trivia for IMDb about Hugh Everett III wrote a thesis famously arguing about multiple universes like that, called the Many World Theories. And there's been recent information that scientists have been kind of questioning about whether our planet is a multiverse of another planet that is exactly like us. So that kind of affects how, like, when you start, it's insane to think about when you start getting into like space theory and space, how space works and stuff like that. There's a possibility that our universe is just a multiverse of another universe. But on top of that, there's also the idea that, because for instance, how did they know that this planet is called Earth? Like, how many times have they visited this planet in their lifetime?
They said that they had intercepted radio waves from them, and like they deciphered a lot of their language, and it's similar to ours. And I'm assuming that's why. Maybe, I don't know. They don't really explain.
It's got a big sign over top of it that's on Google Maps.
Yeah.
Google Universe. It just says Earth.
Google Universe.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting when you think about it, like when you think about the religious aspects, like you guys were talking about, and the concepts of how space works and time works. Like, there are some episodes about space, like especially I Shot an Arrow in the Air, which is a little goofy in its aspects of space and where they are based off the the locale and the rocks and everything. It's really kind of a funny episode, but I like that this episode can make you think about that kind of stuff, about the views, like I said, of the world at the time, and the Cold War aspects and the religious aspects with what Rod Serling, like you guys were talking about. And I mean, overall, like, do you guys think this is an episode that you think is one of the better episodes from Twilight Zone? Like, what's your overall take on the actual episode, like official kind of conclusion, I guess?
For me, it was. This is a really good episode. I really enjoyed this episode. Is it the best? No, but it was definitely better than last week. And out of all the ones that I've been included in up to this point, I think this would be above all of them.
Okay.
I think the two, I mean, I think this feels like one of those episodes where if you want to give someone the heart of what Twilight Zone is, this is one that you present to them, just because it has all the stuff that makes the Twilight Zone great.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. And I mean, as we know, Richard Matheson is a pretty famous, as we know, writer, has done a lot, believe it or not, a lot of his material deals with like end of the world scenarios, which is, as we talked before, because he's written and worked on some Twilight Zone stuff. But it's really interesting to see like how he views the world. It's really interesting to see when you see writers in general and how when they write their stories, especially Richard Matheson or Rod Serling, or I don't know, any author you can think of, how they just kind of take those fears and ideas and concepts and throw them into a story like this, where it's in essence people trying to leave a planet that has been doomed to destroy itself.
And Richard
Interesting.
Matheson's very Philip K. Dick minus the drugs.
Exactly. He's
And
not
the
talking about
phallic
like
last name.
in the oh man.
He said first Richard first name.
That's true. Imagine if he
Dick.
was Richard Dick.
Nick's like, damn it, we almost made it.
Philip Matheson.
Well, at least I won't get into what we talked about last time. So
Oh, we got her going again.
her avatar is like is convulsing with laughter.
Oh, okay. Done.
Are we gonna go into that again?
No, please don't.
Well, at least it's in one gigantic chunk you can just cut out. You know, you have to like cut like little bits. It's just like, okay, this 5-minute slab, you know, Triv is laughing like a friggin' moron. Okay, just dump
I felt
that.
bad taking all that. I felt bad taking some of that stuff out. I'm like, oh man, if I could only keep this in here, it would have been an amazing outtake.
That's
Gonna have
okay.
like a BTS episode where
There you go.
here's all the fuck ups.
Oh, Jesus. So with that said, so we'll go ahead and end the episode here with I need you. I forgot to have
I was
you
gonna
read
say.
the closing narration.
Just cutting out
Just
all
very
my
short.
parts, man.
I
You
know.
bastard. You're cutting
Next
him
time-
like Philip Dick.
You dick. No, my name's Richard.
You dick.
Richard Dick.
I love me
right,
some
well-
dick.
Dick squared. I need a dick.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
Closing narration.
Closing narration.
Serious face. Behind a tiny ship heading into space is a doomed planet on the verge of suicide. Ahead lies a place called Earth, the third planet from the sun. And for William Sturka and the men and women with him, it's the eve of the beginning in the Twilight Zone.
I would just like to point out that there's only one man and 3 women. So like man and women, like like they should have thrown a dog in there just to kind of even it out.
Yeah.
and a man, and a bitch, and a woman. Oh man.
That
Unless
one
they
man
brought
at a
Carling
time.
on board just to toss him out into the depths of space. That would have been
Exactly.
funny.
I love this closing narration because it literally is what we want to do. We want to leave Earth and leave this doomed planet on the verge of suicide and whatever the next third planet from the sun is, all that good stuff. And
I just want the song "Welcome to Earth, Third Rock from the Sun." I think that'd be cool.
welcome to Earth.
To Earth.
Robert-
ERF.
Earth.
Did we rank this
7 over.
episode?
No, not yet. That's actually what I was getting into next. I was waiting for you and I die from coughing.
Yeah.
So anyways, the question I have, how many are you almost caught up on the episodes, Jacob?
No.
Okay. Well, let
I
me
will this week. I'm ahead on my other videos this week, so I should get caught up this week.
Oh, no
I-
worries. You'll get there. If you
I've
get there
seen
eventually.
16 millimeter Shrine.
That is the most important one.
I started
you
with
broke-
that one because you guys talked about it so much.
You broke that hump.
Yay!
Yeah.
You broke your
no.
cherry.
No. After last week's, that one seems like great.
Yeah, no doubt.
So let me ask you both, or if Trev, you just want to answer, is this better than Escape Clause?
The devil is a great character. Carling is a bitch compared to the devil, but overall episode, I think so.
It's definitely better than When the Sky Was Opened, I
Yeah.
believe. The question remains, is it better than What You Need? Is it better than Perchance a Dream? I mean,
I don't like. It's right in that mix of like 3 through 5. I would say it falls into that mix.
What was the hook on Perchance to Dream?
The guy is dreaming that if he goes to sleep, he dies.
Yeah.
Basically,
yeah.
if he
And then-
dies in his dream, he dies for real.
It's like some Freddy Krueger shit.
Kind of, yeah.
It-
That was
it
actually
is
considered
actually-
to be, yeah. Oh, good.
Inspiration for it, actually.
Yeah.
One
It's
for the Angels.
Said to be. That
is
was
that
the
the
one
one?
where the guy he's a peddler, and he has to talk the devil or the death basically out of taking him, and then someone else dies in his place, and then
I remember that one.
then he does this whole pitch to save the girl.
I remember that one. I don't remember it in enough detail to rate it. But
Here's my honest opinion, and I don't know if you agree with me. I think this is a better escape clause, but not as good as What You Need.
I think that's fair.
I mean, if we were to go above it, it would definitely not be as good as Perchance the Dream.
I mean, like I say,
Yeah.
I think it falls anywhere between, I guess. Well, I said 4 and 6. I think is roughly
I
where
think
it would fall.
you think it was better than What You Need? That's the one. That's the one with the guy got hit with the car in the end. right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Let's put it under What You Need.
Okay.
I think that's fair.
Under being
Like,
worse?
no, yeah, one. So Perchance to Dream, What You Need, this one, and then Escape Clause.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I liked it better than What You Need. But I mean, it's about the same.
Wait, you like this one better than What You Need?
Yeah. But I mean, if it's right around in that area, I'm cool. If you guys both think it was that What You Need was better, then we'll just go with it after What You Need. I'm cool with that.
I just want to make things more difficult for Nick when he has to like shift things around. Like when he has to do the graphic stuff for this.
Yeah.
Oh, that thing's a bitch. Like I have to do it differently every week. Like I can't even have a template because it's such a pain in the ass to do. Hey, hush! I'm gonna have to make you do it here in a second. Yeah,
Oh God, every graphic thing I do for you turns out weird.
This is true. It's true. Okay, so with that said, I think that's a good spot. So at number 6, new number 6 is Third from the Sun. Walking Distance still number 1. Number 14 is the film that or episode we'll never talk about ever again. Which
Oh,
is the
so
Four of Us Are
16
Dying.
millimeter shrine. Wait a second.
No, it's not even the worst one
No,
anymore.
I'm kidding. Sorry. bad joke.
But the next episode is one that I personally enjoy. We'll talk about it, see if you guys enjoy it, but it is called I Shot the Arrow in the Air. I think it has one of the wackiest endings I've ever seen in an episode based off what's going on. Directed by Stuart Rosenberg, teleplay, of course, by Rod Serling. But with that said, that'll be next week's episode. And yeah, that'll do it. That'll be our take on Third from the Sun, season 1, episode 14. Jacob, thank you once again for coming on the episode. I know we will have to sign a new contract with you eventually. Maybe I don't know. We'll send you into.
Well, we
Venus.
need to get the open updated so that actually has him in it.
Oh yeah.
I know, right?
I need to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Well, I
me
need
do
to
that
send
today.
you a rough idea of what you need to do too, so that would probably help.
Yeah. So you don't
I'm
belong
sorry.
to. So you're not part of the series until.
He
Triv,
is part of the
animate you.
series, you dick.
Oh, I gotta get that film so I can be a real boy.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, I'm not a real girl, so I mean, all good.
But anyways, where can they find you if they want to reach out and touch your Venus?
What?
That's my what?
I don't touch your anus. I don't know where I'm going
You
with
said
that one.
Venus. I'm pretty sure, unless you said Uranus.
you.
Yeah.
Okay, well that was
Hey,
a
my
totally different
Venus,
website for all
You're
that.
my
But
man. No desire.
Um, you can find me typically on youtube.com at Jacob Anders Reviews, where I review movies every day. And on Wednesday nights, I play bad games usually, or I play badly at games, one or the other. And also, I'm on Twitter a lot of the time at Red Neville 2. And I'm some other places, but those are the 2 places you can find me the most. And yeah, if you like bad takes on movies, go check them out.
There you go.
Your takes are
And
normally
Tri-
pretty good in my book, so but what do I know? I review bad movies.
Comments
I know nothing.
might disagree with you at times.
Comments are stupid. We should throw rocks at them.
Oh man, poor comments. Hey, Triv, if
Poor
they want to
comments.
get a hot.
What?
What a way to end the episode. I love it. Triv, if they want to get a hot steaming cup of Uranus, where can they find you?
Well, first off, anatomically, I'm not sure I have an anus, hot or not.
God damn it.
A hot steaming. That was disturbingly descriptive.
Have you And also, how did you see if in my anus if I did actually have one?
I don't know. It's
If
one
you
of those
want a
days, people.
hot steamy cup of my apparent anus, you can go on over to YouTube and check out Trivial Theater. It's ER, not RE, because my anus isn't that fancy. Also, you can find me on Twitter at trivia_chick, where there is no anus.
There you go. You can reach me at Movie Emporium. Movie Emporium is where I have all my content. If you like this video, like this, fifth dimension stuff with the podcast that we do, definitely go on Apple Podcast or Google Chrome or whatever the hell they are. Give us 5 stars, rate us, tell us how we're doing, all that good stuff. But otherwise, that'll do it. And we'll see you guys next time in the Twilight Zone. Peace out.
Bye.
Adios.
Welcome back to Movie Emporium. Oh shit! I just did that. Thank God we have unlimited time.
Thank God for that. Kidding. That would
Check.
be weird.
Okay.
Check.
Yes, it would.
Check. Check.
Check.
Check.
Check 1, check 2.
Severus. No, that's not.
All
What is it?